Relationship issues?
Relationship talk
On 702.
Today on our relationship feature, we are tackling something that many of us have been affected by in one way or the other, directly or indirectly, and that is cheating. Why do people cheat? Have you cheated in your relationship? And if so, what do you think led you to do that? Almost everyone in a relationship, whether dating or married, has no desire to be cheated on or to instigate an unfaithful act. And yet, infidelity does happen, and quite frequently. And the definition of cheating, in fact, when you look at it, varies from person to person. Like a lot of people have their own definitions of what cheating is. I asked someone this morning, have you cheated? And they said, not physically, because people actually have different definitions of cheating. But there's no doubt that any form of infidelity, whether it's physical or it's emotional, can have a devastating impact on the individual. It can have an impact on the partnership. And it's not just because the misconception that exists out there is that, lack of attraction is actually what compels people to commit infidelity. But research has suggested that it's actually more nuanced than that. And that's why we want to have a conversation about this, to understand those nuances. I want you to share your experience with us, no judgment. What are your experiences around cheating? Maybe you've been cheated on. Maybe you are the one that's cheated. What led you to cheat? I think you sharing your experiences will help us understand just the background story, the nuances. And that's not to say it's justified, but we get to understand why people often get to do this thing that they themselves would not like it being done towards them. You can share your experience with us on 011 883 0702. That's the number to call. Or you can send a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702. Paula Quinsee is a relationship and life coach who's going to guide us through this conversation. Thank you for making time, Paula. Good morning. Hey, Paula, can you hear us? I think you're muted. Paula? Okay, let's try and sort out that line with Paula Quinsee. Tell you what, let's take a quick ad break. I think she's still muted. We're going to try and sort out that line and then we'll start our conversation. But please keep your calls coming and your WhatsApps as well on 072 702 1702.
Relationship issues?
Relationship talk
On 702.
14 minutes after 11 o'clock, we're talking about cheating this morning on our relationship feature, trying to understand the psychology behind it, the nuances, because often we think it's just this one explanation. And I would like you to, if you can, be vulnerable with us this morning and share your own reasons of why you ultimately decided to cheat on your partner, maybe cheat on your spouse. What was it for you? Because I think the mistake we often make is think there's just this one reason, or they were not paying attention to me, or I had lost attraction to my partner, whatever the case is. But the differences are, the reasons are different. And I think to understand those nuances and what the cheating actually has to do with, whether it's the next person or it's got more to do with yourself, helps us get there. So please share your thoughts with us on the WhatsApp line. Give us a call as well. If you want. Paula Quinsee, we've got you now on a better line. I hope you can hear us now. Good morning.
Hi, Clement. I can hear you loud and clear. Good to be with you again.
Perfect. Paula Quinsee is a relationship and life coach. So, Paula, why is infidelity such a common and deeply confusing betrayal? I just want us to start there.
Yeah, I mean, the betrayal goes deep, right? Because it's on an emotional level. And when it comes to relationships, we are emotionally invested and emotionally connected to our partners. And, we share intimate moments. And when I say intimate, I'm not just talking about physical. I'm talking about we share, deep and meaningful stuff that is personal to us. You mentioned earlier, being vulnerable. When we're with partners, we become vulnerable. We share our inner thoughts, our inner feelings with these people that we share our life with. And so when it comes to cheating, that betrayal can do a lot of damage.
What actually counts as cheating in today's world of emotional connections, of digital intimacy, micro cheating? Because I said earlier that people, when you ask someone, oh, have you cheated? They'll often ask, okay, but my definition of cheating doesn't involve like emotional connection, or for them they'll say, okay, cheating to me is when you've had sex with the other person, or not that, or it's more when you have built a connection, when you've fallen in love with someone else. You can have sex with them, that will hurt me, but cheating is when you have fallen in love with them. So we all have our different definitions, but what is it in this world where how we connect with people has really expanded?
And that's a good question to have as couples, as a discussion, as what clarifies as cheating in your world and in your mind, because one thing in one person's world could be very different in the other. So in one partner's world, the fact that you've actually done the deed and slept with someone, that's cheating. In the other partner's world, the fact that you're texting someone behind my back and I don't know about it, that's cheating. So it's a good conversation for couples to have to clarify what the boundaries are, and when you've crossed that boundary, what the consequences are. So yes, cheating can be you've physically done the deed and you've had sex with someone. It could be that you are emotionally connected and emotionally invested with someone and sharing intimate stuff with them that you should actually be sharing with your partner. And micro cheating is those little things where it's kind of crossing the line. You might not have done something, so you're flirting with someone and you can turn it around and go, oh, but it was innocent, it meant nothing, but the fact is the impact that it is having on your partner, it still causes hurt and pain. And so the question to ask yourself is, if my partner was doing this to me, would I be okay with it? And if not, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Which is interesting because, often when the person who's been cheated on returns the favor, for lack of a better phrase, it becomes so painful for most people who say, but how could you do that? And the partner will say, but you did it to me. So you didn't think about those consequences. So I like what you say, Paula, that ask yourself, would I like this being done to me? And if not, then is it the best thing to do? Of course, infidelity is often less about attraction and more about complex emotional or relational issues, isn't it? What are the most common core reasons people cheat?
Yeah, I mean, as human beings, we don't wake up in the morning and go, today I'm going to have an affair and find the first person that comes across our path and have an affair with them. It doesn't work like that, right? We generally have affairs because there is something missing, either inside of us and or in our relationship. And so we are seeking that elsewhere. And so when it comes to couples and having affairs or infidelity, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time, because your emotional needs are not being met in some way, form, or shape in your relationship. And perhaps you've tried to get those needs met. You've tried to have discussions with your partner, and it's just not forthcoming. And so over time, couples do become emotionally disconnected from each other, and they start getting those needs fulfilled elsewhere. And so typical environment would be the office, for example, and having an office affair, because you spend a lot of time with people in the office. And you start forming a bond and a connection. It could also be through, sports and hobbies and other interests. It's when you start forming a connection with someone else that starts filling that need or that void or that gap that either your partner is not filling in your relationship, or that you are chasing within yourself and you haven't done the work to actually get to what's underneath that and why you are chasing to fill that void.
What I'm trying to understand more the void within you that you're chasing to fill, because there are other people who will say the relationship is perfect. We we communicate with each other. We enjoy spending time with each other. The sex is good with each other. We stimulate each other intellectually. So what is the problem then? If someone then has to look within and look at the void that they're trying to fill, what is that? What is that void from your experience that people often want to fill? So it's not so much the relationship or the next person, your spouse, but you are the problem, so to speak.
Yeah, so there's a number of reasons or elements. And so things like self-esteem, self-worth, self-belief. We're seeking that validation externally as opposed to getting it from within ourselves. So not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling deserving of. And that's got a lot to do with our upbringing because that's where our emotional foundation is formed. And then we can start going down that road of attachment types and attachment theories and that. So it's really about going internal within yourself and looking at your relationship patterns and going, what are my relationship patterns telling me? What are the things that I keep doing over and over again? What are the things that my partners have complained about or had frustrations or issues with or that I couldn't give them? And that's where you start going inside and going, what are the voids inside of me that's causing me to respond and react in these ways? And that's one of the ways that I do that is I seek that external validation in the form of having an affair.
And how does emotional drift or even a lack of a communication feed into that decision to cheat?
So from an emotional lack, so you're not feeling emotionally fulfilled or connected with your partner and or yourself for that matter. And so you're constantly seeking that emotional connection. And this is why, serial cheaters, for example, and I'm generalizing a lot here, so it's not as simple as this, but serial cheaters will hop from one relationship to the next because that excitement of that initial stages, the in-love feeling, that kind of high of being in love is what they're seeking because in that moment, they feel loved and excited and happy and all of these things, but it's unsustainable in the real world, right? Which is why we go through the different stages of a relationship. And when the relationship starts shifting and starts settling down into a more settled sort of routine and we get more comfortable with each other, they feel that excitement and the thrill and that's gone and the relationship has now become boring or we're not compatible or you've changed, you're not the person I fell in love with anymore. And so then they seek out and they hop to another relationship. So that's one example of that emotional connection or void that we're not getting fulfilled.
And of course, other people will hop to the next thing, not because they're falling in love with the person, but because they just want to have sex with them. So what could then be behind that? Because it's not so much that they're excited by they're in love. They're not. They just want to engage sexually with the next person. And then when that's done, they'll move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. So there's two extremes here. In the beginning stages of a relationship, it's about infatuation, lust, and attraction. It's not necessarily real love. As our relationship evolves and goes into that next stage, sort of the real love starts settling in. On the other side of the extreme is potentially, addiction, so sex addiction and those kind of things that could be driving someone to hop from one relationship to the next. Or the way that they only feel that they can connect with someone is through sex. They haven't learned how to connect and attach with someone emotionally outside of the physical side of a relationship.
Yeah. So sometimes when you speak to men, particularly, of course, some women often, when we have similar conversations on the show, men will say, yeah, but I've got unmet sexual needs. And that plays into driving me into infidelity. Some people mention like long distance relationship or alcohol or, work environments create that, cheating opportunity. You spoke about the work environment earlier. Do you think that having conversations with your spouse, with your partner about also things that excite you actually helps? Because sometimes you are happy with your partner, but there are certain sexual, what do you call it, desires that you have that often would lead you to go to outside. So for instance, you and your partner, maybe the way you have sex is too ordinary, nothing refreshing. But when you step outside, that's where you become more creative and more like your fetishes are sort of met outside. And yet, if you spoke to your partner about it and you discussed how to better even your sex life, you could find that the very same things you get outside, you could get here. So what I'm trying to understand is, from your experience, do you think relationships are strong enough these days to have that conversation, or opening the door to that conversation is what actually may start a fight that ultimately leads to a separation? Because someone will feel insufficient or inadequate and say, oh, why are you even bringing this conversation up? That means I'm not satisfying you.
Yeah, and this is one of the areas that couples do struggle around, having these courageous conversations or these vulnerable conversations around, what I like and what I don't like and what's a deal breaker for me when it comes to the sexual side of their relationship, and sexual compatibility. One partner might be a little bit more conservative than the other based on their upbringing. And so this is, where couples need to do that hard work and work through these issues together and be able to, explore. And the thing is, as you go through your relationship and your relationship becomes more routine, our sex life becomes more routine. So this is where couples need to continuously evolve in their relationship and the physical side of their relationship to become better lovers. Because as we grow and evolve, our needs grow and evolve as well. We change as individuals. As we get older, we may get more self-conscious about our bodies being out of shape and not the way we were when we were 20 or 30, that kind of thing. So, couples struggle to have these conversations because it can be taken the wrong way, and that I'm not satisfying you, I'm not enough for you, I'm not good enough for you anymore. Where it's not necessarily that, right? So this is where it would help for couples to go and seek therapy or seek a professional, even a sex therapist, to help them work through this part of their relationship.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear from our listeners now on 011-883-0702. Joe, you calling us from Lenasia South. Good morning. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Clement. Good morning to you and your
Good morning.
guest, the listeners. Sorry, I'm actually speaking from experience because I'm on my third marriage, and it's working perfectly well since I've developed a new value system. I think as a youngster, we come from a culture, from environments where value systems are driven in a specific way. For example, for me as a youngster, I appreciated more the validation feeling that I got from friends and colleagues saying, "Oh, this guy he's dangerous. He's got a yellow bone today. Look at that one. Look at this one." Describing different female features that made us, feel important in our communities or little communities where we used to stand around the corner and look at girls and say, "Yeah, the one who can get that one, he's cock." You know what I mean? And through my first marriage, I didn't understand this because I was a young DJ, successful, small businesses here and there. I had multiple partners. I had friends, lots of friends. Little did I realize that at the time that these value systems, although not specifically designed, they were directly impacting all the other things that I wanted to achieve as a youngster, like financial stability, family stability, relationship stability. These were all impacted because I didn't know how to develop or frame my value system. And when I started realizing that, one, it's going to take me to develop my value system, and secondly, to clearly understand that, love is a choice. It's a choice that you consciously make that is directly related to how you want to live your life in the future.
Yeah.
It was too late. My second marriage was gone. But on my third marriage, I'm beginning to be, I began to be more innovative, creative in terms of how I look at life, being more open to my partner, explaining what this value system is so that we are both aligned. and thinking about different things that we can achieve in the future, and adding these to the things that the clues that held us together.
Yeah. Oh, Joe, thank you for sharing that with us, man. And I'm glad that you found your center, and the value system that's at least allowing you to enjoy this third marriage now. And I wish you all the best with it. Thanks, man. It's 11:30 now.
Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
24 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're in conversation with Paula Quinsee, who's a relationship and life coach, on our relationship feature this morning about cheating. Why do people cheat? The nuances, the reasons behind someone taking a decision to go outside of their marriage, outside of their relationship. It's not as easy as we think it is, but there are nuances around infidelity. And Paula Quinsee has explained that sometimes it's something missing within you. That's why you end up cheating on your partner. And we don't communicate enough because there are certain things that you think are unmet needs that you try and go get outside that you could actually get in your relationship or in your marriage if only you started a conversation. I want to go to your WhatsApp voice notes now that have come through on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Clement. I've been looking forward to this topic. I was cheated on, and his reasonings, because I wanted to find out why he cheated on me, so that we can pursue the relationship after the cheating. And it was obviously because he felt that the other lady, was more encouraging and more goal orientated and, all those things. I tried to make it work, but unfortunately once, you cheat, it's so hard to find trust again within that person. You find yourself going through phones every day. So it wasn't worth it for me, so I just left him. Unfortunately, till this day, I really struggle with trusting. I haven't been in a relationship ever since. It's been 3 years. So it has devastating results, unfortunately.
Hi, 702. This is Omri. I've been cheated on, and for me, I took the high road and said, well, okay, if that's what you want, because I love you, then you can move on. But for me, cheating is like the ultimate no. So if it happens to me again, I'd be out the door. Thank you.
Morning, Clement. My girlfriend cheated a week ago. She says she cheated because I don't give her money. Just money. So I don't know whether I was wrong or she's wrong or which is which. But she cheated. Oxalai, she cheated. And that's the reason.
So, wait, she cheated because she says you don't give her money. Yeah, Paula, how do you even fix that? Like in a relationship, how do you center yourselves again and try to resolve something like that when a partner says, well, I went outside because you don't give me money, so I've gone out to look for it outside?
Yeah, I would want to understand more about this relationship in terms of, is it a transactional relationship? So why is this partner in the relationship? Is it just for the money? Does she really care about this person? Or on the other side of it is she financially dependent on this person and doesn't have any income of her own? And is that a form of, control? So I'd want to understand more about this relationship, but it definitely would be sitting down and having this conversation in terms of the quality and the health of their relationship to get to the root cause. And then if they do want to continue this relationship forward, how do they go about, having these honest conversations, rebuilding the trust, clarifying what the ground rules of the relationship are, and then committing and both co-creating the trust in the relationship going forward.
Yeah.
Clement. Shubani. Clement, on cheating. Cheating is cheating. There's no way you can say people need to explain cheating. Right now I'm going through something. which is very, very difficult for me. I want to tell you that my wife cheated. And the worst part is my wife slept with somebody that I know, and the person know that I'm married to this woman. And the sad part is the excuses that I was given. It's like I'm a baby. That's how I was treated. Everything was treated like I'm the cause of it. I was a baby and stuff, but it really hurts. Cheating, like even now, this happened a long time ago, but even now it's still killing me.
Hi, Clement and your guest. I'm just wondering, could cheating also be like genetic? So maybe if you saw your parents, one of your parents cheating, or it's something that's really prevalent in your family, could that also be passed down to you, or is it just an excuse?
Jeez, okay. So Paula, I'm assuming that that's what she's been told before, that, well, this thing happens in my family and maybe that's why I'm engaging in it as well. In your experience, Paula, because there are people who have been raised in families where they witness cheating, but they don't do it. There are people that have been raised in families where there was no cheating and yet they are doing it. Have you found a correlation between what people were exposed to when they were growing up at home with what they then express when they're adults?
Yeah, so look, our upbringing definitely does play a role in what shapes us and influences us as human beings and what our vision of a relationship or a healthy relationship looks like and feels like. So if we've grown up in an environment where one of our parents cheated, we could follow in those footsteps because to us it is the norm. It is something that happens. Or we could go the extreme opposite and vow to never be like that and never do that because being able to see the damage that it causes or that it did cause to one of our parents. So yes, our upbringing definitely plays a role in how we see relationships and how we forge relationships with others, how we're able to be vulnerable, how we're able to resolve conflict, how we're able to communicate. It's all formed largely in our childhood and then shaped and influenced as we go through different relationships.
Yeah.
Hi. Good morning, Clement, and your guest. I just want to find out here. Can an environment where you come from, being exposed to cheating by a lot of people, also make you to want to be a cheater? Because from my own experience, I am married, but I just can't stop cheating. So I'm not too sure if this whole thing is psychologically inflicted in me, because in the environment where I come from, I've just been exposed to seeing people cheating, and I also just can't stop. But I don't know the reason why I'm cheating. There is absolutely no reason for me to cheat. Please ask your guest there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Whew. Yeah, Paula?
Yeah, definitely. The environment that we've grown up in will influence it. So if you've grown up in an environment where cheating was the norm, it happened all the time, you are influenced to think that that is the norm and it's okay, and that is how relationships are. You don't actually know what a healthy relationship looks like because you've never actually experienced one, right? So you then replicate or play out those deeply ingrained belief systems and behavioral traits in your adult relationships, right? So then linked to that, it could be, there could be some form of addiction, so sex addiction involved. So I would really recommend that this person does seek professional help to get to the root cause, because cheating is a choice at the end of the day. We are not born cheaters, we become cheaters. And that's a choice to cross that line and make that decision, right? In extreme cases, yes, you can be, born with psychopathic or narcissistic traits, and that's a whole different discussion. But the general average person it's a choice to cheat. And we need to get to the root of why am I choosing to cheat when I have no reason to cheat?
Yeah.
What is that underlying reason or factor that I'm willing to throw consequences to the wind and follow through on that action.
Yeah. And as you said, sometimes it's just looking look within, because you may get some ideas on why you're doing that. Maybe something is missing, and maybe seeing a therapist and beginning to talk to someone, maybe the beginning.
I think we underestimate the power of sex drive in relationships. We just think that somehow love conquers all. Yes, love conquers all, but the sex drive is the most thing that makes people end up cheating. Because if the sex is terrible, people look for somewhere else. That's what drive. I'm not talking about serial cheaters. Of course, serial cheaters, they have their own problems, because you can't be sleeping with multiple people every now and then and find it okay. But I'm just talking about the people who end up cheating. It's because we underestimate the sex drive. You go for months without having sex with your partner. There's definitely a problem there. But we don't want to address it. I don't know why. The poor communication and stuff. And then we end up sleeping with other people outside of your own relationship. I think for me, the power is in the sex drive. Communicate, talk about it, and that's how it works.
Hi, Clement. Very, very interesting topic this. So I'd just like to give in my input on this one. So I've been divorced for over 4 years because I got cheated on, but not only just on one occasion. And upon having a discussion with my ex-wife, because we still at least in very good communication, my lack of experience was an issue because she was the only person I've ever slept with. So, I mean, I'm now in my late 30s. And I've only just had one sexual partner. She was the only one. So she basically took my virginity, and then having to take into account the fact that she's already had experiences and expectations, that led to a lot of demise in our relationship, which led to other things then, which, unfortunately led to the end of the relationship. So, I'd like to just hear a guy's opinions on this one, because I don't want to feel that guys are always the ones who are always doing the cheating. I always want to find out what led to them doing the cheating. But thank you very much. Please keep me anonymous. Thank you.
Yeah, and as you've heard, some of the guys just cheat, and they have no reason to cheat, but somehow they find themselves doing it. So all sorts of reasons. And someone else mentioned the sex drive. Earlier, I'll get Paula to respond to that after the break. It's 12 minutes before 12.
Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
10 minutes before 12 o'clock. We're going to get to more of your WhatsApp voice notes in a moment. Paula, you can reflect to some of the voice notes that came through. Someone did say in one of the voice notes we played that sometimes it's about the sex drive. Have you heard that before as a reason for people who have gone out who said, well, there was our sex drive is not compatible with my partner, and therefore that's why I've stepped out?
Yes, this is something that does come up between couples when one partner has a higher libido or sex drive than the other. And this is where couples can work through this and find a middle ground for each other, that they can still have a mutually satisfying sex life together. It also would be to understand, well, what is contributing to that sex drive? Is it just naturally who I am, that I have a naturally high libido and sex drive, or is it something underneath that is causing me to chase and want to have sex all the time? It could be like the other caller mentioned, and from an inexperienced point of view, where one partner is more experienced than the other. And this is where couples can learn and teach each other and help each other become better lovers by having these conversations around, this is what I enjoy. This is what turns me on. This is what turns me off. This is what I don't like. This is the no-go zone for me. I'm not prepared to, try that or do that because that makes me uncomfortable. And couples need to have these conversations.
Yeah. Someone else, there was a message here that I thought would be important to reflect on. There's someone who says, hi, Clement, thank you for this conversation. For me, it was revenge cheating, something I thought I would never do. Nothing much happened, but I hated myself for doing the same thing that he did. But he has cheated many, many times. and my self-esteem was at its lowest. How often do you come across the scenario where people end up cheating because their partners have cheated? And I know a lot it's women who would share that experience and say, well, he cheated too many times. My self-esteem was on the floor and I just needed to revenge. And I needed also to do something that reminds me that, I'm still that girl, so to speak, to avenge.
It does happen. Not often or a lot of the time. And I think, the people that have done it, generally after the fact, they don't feel that good about themselves. Revenge cheating, revenge sex hardly ever, kind of repairs the damage that has been done initially by your partner that's cheating. Yes, it could, feel good for a while that you got one up on the other, but it doesn't make you feel good inside about yourself as a person necessarily.
Hi, morning, Clement, and your guest. In regards in cheating is a personal choice. We adults as we are, and you choose to break another person's trust. You choose to invite another person into your life, and then you just justify it by giving reasons. It's a discipline. Those who don't have discipline cheat. It's as simple as that. It's not genetic. It's behavioral. And then there's no much of an excuse that you can say. Simple as that. You cheat because of your ill-discipline. It's just simple as that.
Okay, we'll go to some more WhatsApps. Here are some of the texts that have come through. Anonymous says, Clement, I just caught up with your conversation now. So I have cheated before. It was in my marriage. And though I know very well that there are no excuses, I must tell you, I hold no regret whatsoever. It stemmed from not getting the emotional attention at all from him. Ours was a distant marriage, and despite my many cries to him to stop neglecting me in our marriage by not calling, not checking up at all on not only myself but our kids too, like zero involvement in our lives, he just continued with the same behavior, which perpetuated the cheating. That's a message there from Anonymous. Another one says, Clement, I cheated in all forms you can think of because my partner couldn't fulfill any of my needs. They were emotionally detached. I was lonely and I couldn't connect sexually. I decided to stop the cheating because that's not who I am or who I want to be. I'm not ready to talk about it because things are still the same or worse with my partner, and I'm questioning why I am with them apart from the kids we have. We don't talk about anything except running the household. Oh, yeah, Paula, I mean, nobody wants to be in a relationship or a marriage like that.
Definitely not. That's what we call a transactional relationship, where it's just superficial. It's all about the day-to-day chores, and there's very little connection, love, care, nurturing, kindness, empathy, support. And that's what we need as human beings, and that's what we need in our relationships. That's what makes our relationships survive and thrive. And so, yes, this person needs to really ask themselves, is it worth it staying in this relationship? And like your other caller said, it's not about lack of trying, it's about lack of reciprocation. We've tried, we've begged, we've pleaded, we've cried to try and get our needs fulfilled. Sometimes that in itself pushes the person away because they don't know how to deal with that, because it can come across in a way that is seen as criticizing and fault-finding. So it drives them further away. And this is where I really want to recommend, that couples go and seek professionals and get professional help to help get to the root cause of it. And how can they create connection going forward to rebuild the intimacy and the communication and the nurturing in their relationship that makes it thrive.
Yeah. Paula Quinsee, thank you so much. Always appreciate your insights. Paula Quinsee is a relationship and life coach. And thanks to all of you who have shared your experiences as well. It's 3 minutes before 12.